Chapter 30. The ship lifted, and the high G-force shoved at the passengers, pressing them deep into the cushioned seats. Wilkes supposed that if he had a viewer operational, he would have looked back, although it would surely be a depressing sight. Watching your own planet being overrun by monsters wasn't what he would call fun. There was nothing to be done for it now, at least. The first rule in winning a war was to survive. If you lived, you could fight another day. Dead, you couldn't do shit. And Wilkes planned to stay alive as long as it took to kill those things. As long as it took. Whoever had programmed the ship had figured on using Earth's gravity to help sling them into deep space. The cargo drone reached high orbit and the drives pulsed, pushing them into an ellipse. The monitors showed that there were at least 50 ships in the loose formation, plus one unidentified vessel whose configurations Wilkes recognized. "Hey, say goodbye to old Longnose," he said. Billy looked at him, went blank, then screamed. Somehow Mitch managed to unhook himself from his seat and walk on his hands to where Billy was still strapped into her chair. He climbed up, held her, tried to reach her. "Billy! What is it? Billy?" It was inside her brain again. That alien presence she'd last felt light years away. The thing that had saved them from the monsters. It was laughing. The force of its thoughts overwhelmed her. She couldn't stop them. It was like trying to halt an ocean breaker with a bucket. The feelings were mixed. It gloated. It was filled with snide joy. It lusted. It felt superior. It hated. It raged. And among all those things were things she couldn't identify. Feelings for which there was no human reference. But she got enough of it to know what it wanted her to know. Oh, God. "Billy?" She managed to focus on Mitch. Mitch, who loved her. Her feelings for him became like a wall, against which the alien spacefarer's emotional sea splashed. Some of it slipped past, but enough was stopped so Billy could recover her senses. Somehow it knew this. The tide stopped. That thing. It talked to me." "What did it say?" Wilkes put in. "It has no more use for us than it did the aliens. It followed us here to see our world, to see if there was anything here worth taking. It wants to conquer us." "Won't have a lot of opposition, will it?" Wilkes said. "It plans to wait and let the aliens kill all the humans. Then when the soldiers come back, it knows their plans. It will be waiting. Maybe with others of its own kind, to take Earth from the winners." "Damn," Wilkes said. "If it isn't one thing, it's another. Out of the hurricane and into a tornado." After that, there wasn't much any of them could say. Wilkes had the sleep chambers cycling online. According to his instruments, the ship was about to enter subspace. None of them knew for how long or how far they would travel while dancing in the nowhere and no when of the Einsteinian warp. It didn't really matter. Billy helped Wilkes install Mitch into his chamber. Wilkes moved away to check his own bed for the long sleep. Billy stood over Mitch, smiled down at him. "You okay?" he asked. "Yes, I am." They embraced, a long, soulful hug. Then she stepped away and triggered the system. The lid clamshelled down and sealed. Mitch kept his eyes open, watching her, until the gases put him under. She watched him sleep for a moment, then turned toward her own chamber. Wilkes was already climbing into his. He waved at her. Well, she had come a long way in her life, from one destroyed planet to another, to yet another. But she was still alive. Not so long ago, that wouldn't have meant much to Billy. But things had changed. She had Mitch now. Somehow they would find a way to repair him, bring him back to what he'd been before. No, that wasn't true. He was already more than he'd been before, even if his body was half destroyed. But there were ways to fix that. Easier because of what he was, and even that wasn't really important. Billy climbed into her chamber, touched a control, watched the lid fan slowly down. No, what was important was she wasn't alone anymore. And she knew as sleep claimed her, she would not dream of the past and of monsters. Rather, she would dream of the future, whatever that might be. After all, they hadn't done too bad so far. A war was fought, one battle at a time. Billy smiled and closed her eyes. This concludes my reading of Aliens, Earth Hive. Thank you for listening. To be continued with Book 2, Nightmare Asylum.